How's it, everybody? Back in the 1930s, Sir Willem Schmidt, a multi-millionaire, had an idea to build a cargo train depot in this area. He decided the area to be ideal for easy transport as it was close to a well-used train line and a wide, calm river. The cargo train depot would become a busy hub of activity where trains came and went, carrying all sorts of things. Over time, Willem became sick with an unknown disease. He passed away in 1942, and not too long after, all his workers mysteriously followed. Nobody knows what happened to the hundreds of people that lived in the surrounding houses. Added to that, nobody knows where Willem's remains are. Some believe he still walks the corridors of his beloved depot, coming out every so often, looking to visit his once beloved workers. There's an eerie alignment of his sightings coinciding with the many mysterious train accidents that have rocked Nomasburg over the years, but that is something not many like to speak of. Weeds and plants overtook the train depot, claiming it as their own. The tracks that used to guide trains are now overgrown and hidden beneath a blanket of wild grass. This abandoned area was once part of the town, but due to neglect has now fallen into disrepair. The old cargo train depot, a place where goods were loaded and unloaded, had been left behind, left to decay. Inside the depot and all around the dilapidated homes, the air was stale and heavy with the scent of abandonment. Empty crates, abandoned cars, and broken machinery lay scattered, gathering dust. The river, once a bustling waterway for trade, now flows peacefully beside the abandoned depot. Its gentle currents whispers tales of a once great past. As time passed, nature has reclaimed this forgotten part of Nomasburg, with the odd train or two breaking through its eerie silence. In remembrance of a once great idea, this place became known as Willem's Cross. I would like to say a big thanks to Citrus for the name and the backstory. With that, let's get into today's episode. Alrighty, welcome everybody. Sanctum Gamer here, and today we will complete this town finally. It's been a while coming, but I think we finally got to the point where we are building the last major thing for this town. So this is going to be the area sitting between the university and the town itself, and the aim of today is to just close up that gap. We will create a small little residential area, just a small little settlement, and then blend it out with the natural landscape going towards the main highway that cuts through this entire landscape. So we're kicking things off, detailing around this ferry port. I think that's what it's called. The ferry ports that we placed just at the start of when we started building the university. And the whole idea here was that I just wanted to put a small little commercial space just around it, because in my mind, if there's going to be a ferry spot or at least any kind of public transport space, there's usually a small corner shop or two nearby. So as people come in and out, they've got places to just grab something quick on their way out or on their way home. And so because of that, I decided to put this little commercial area that is towards the backside of the ferry port. And then down here, I thought I would keep up with a couple of abandoned areas. So I figured this area once upon a time, or maybe even still now, is some kind of a spot where there were boats that would come in and out. But over time, it has sort of fallen out of favor with the town folk, and all the old boats and I don't know what are these sheds and stuff that were once there are still left to be there, and the entire area is just become a bit more overgrown. But at least the commercial spots there in the back are a bit used, and I would expect them to be used because people still come in and out and grab things from there. And once all of this is done, off camera I connect up a ferry line. So the ferry line that leaves this ferry port goes to the one that we built. We built it way back, but did a detailing around it in episode 46. So the first episode that I released after my hiatus. So we connect this up to that area, and I put the ferry port here to have two, because the other one is going to connect up to a smaller town that we are going to build that's going to be a little further up the river. But with the train, the train station up there, I wanted to connect up the train station with the ferry depot, because the town that I want to build later on is going to be, it's not going to have a direct connection to the rest of the towns in Nomasburg. So the way you're going to be getting to that spot is via the ferry parts. So this train station here will enable easy access from here going all the way to the center of this town, and then excuse me, my voice is failing me there, and then all the way to Charlestown. So a commute from there to the new town that we'll build at some point in the future, you would take the train, you'll stop at this train station, you jump off, come down this dirt path, get onto the ferry, and then off you go into that town. So that's the idea, and that's why I put a ferry depot or a ferry port here that has two ports on it. And then in and around this space, I didn't want this area to be too developed. It's not meant to be a central part of this entire area. It is just this port that's there servicing the university and the small area and connecting up to the future upcoming town. And then from this point on, it's clearing out the space. We're gonna connect up now the road up to the main avenue that you see there towards the top. And what I didn't want is to just continue with a grid. So I always put in an effort to break up the grid as much as I possibly can. And the idea is that the space just opposite the university, where the two roundabouts are, is still land that belongs to the university, and that's why the road had to go all the way around a piece of land and then make its way across the railway station and then back the side. Now I could have crossed the railway station right where I could have crossed the railway line right where that roundabout is, but I didn't want it to be so close because it was going to lead to a lot of traffic happening, because every time trains come by, cars stop, and that would cause a lot of pile up into the roundabout, something that would not be ideal. And so I decided to just run it all the way along the train line itself. And I think that kind of makes sense as well, because when you plan and build roads and stuff like this, you want to try and maximize flow. And I think this would be something logical that we would do to just keep the traffic to a minimum in and around the actual area. And then around here is that settlement that I was talking about. So it's just a couple of houses. We will have some small commercial spots as well that we'll build. But this area isn't going to spread along the entire river that we see. It's just going to be very small, concentrated, and then the rest will be forest. I didn't want this place again to be too fully developed. I figured this is just some settlement that would have occurred as a result of the university that has sprung up, and in time this settlement will spread into the main town center itself. But we are catching it at a point where the development is only now starting. So also this could have been an area where perhaps the teachers and lecturers and the university folk were first accommodated, and now this is starting to spread slowly but surely. And then this is the spot where the commercial area will be. We'll have a couple more houses. We won't put the houses all the way right up onto the rail line, but it will go out at least a bit close to it. And then we'll just detail out the entire area. Now, once we're done with this build, today's build that is, this entire town would be considered complete. I don't think there's much else I'll be doing that will expand the town itself, but the rest of the buildings that we will do around this area will be just to blend the town itself into the surrounding areas. Now, what I'm hoping to do is, at the time of the release of this video, we will do a live stream the next day. So this will be Saturday, and we will basically focus on just blending the town into the surrounding areas. Just some foliage work, nothing major, nothing fancy. Because after this, I want to now move out into the outskirts of this town, where not the town, man, the outskirts of the region, where our focus will now be on getting the Nomasburg airport in and start working on the smaller towns that are going to surround the region as we continue this push to try and finish Nomasburg as soon as we possibly can. The railway line that you see that runs at the top there. So one of the things that I want to do is we're going to extend that railway line even further, because I plan on having another town further up as you look at it. So further up from the university, which will be more of a foresty town. So the idea is that the forest industry that I will introduce into the region that will sit around there. So probably in one of the live streams, we will extend the train line out into that space as well. And then we'll be in a position that with all the upcoming videos, the focus will just be on building the new towns and sort of connecting everything else up. And then this area marks the end of the development that I was talking about. So as you can see, it is slowly starting to expand out. And you can imagine this over time, this entire area gets filled with residential. But for now, I think this is fine. So we'll just do a bit of detailing, put a couple of forests, a couple of bushes, and so on to just close off this entire area. Like I mentioned earlier, next up after this will be the airport. So that will be the next episode, or episode 51. But episode 50 will deviate slightly from my usual overview videos like I do. What we'll be doing in episode 50, we'll be taking a tram ride. Now, I'm still not 100% sure whether I'm going to do the tram ride from the university into the town or from the town to the university. I've kind of manipulated and played around with the tram path to see which would offer the nicest, I suppose, scenery whilst we take the trip. And that's what I'm currently playing around with. The path that the tram is going to follow is not the actual public transport route that is going to run through this town. I'm just going to set up that route just so that we get the most out of the trip, and then we'll have a separate transportation, either live stream or episode, where the actual public transport line will be set up properly. There are currently public transport lines already running. As you can see, there's the train that's coming in and out connecting the university to the main town station. But these have been put in just to get the people up and running, and then we'll do a proper one to make sure that everything is as optimized as can be. And then around here, again, continuing with the trend of abandonment. Wow, I don't know what happened to my tongue. It ran away from me. We are continuing the process of abandonment. There we go. That's the word I wanted to say. So there's some kind of old factory that used to be here at some point. It is, again, completely overgrown. It's all just forest and bush. I put those two abandoned houses there in the background to just show, back in the days, somebody had a big plot of land here and they lived here, but they have long gone. And either this land is still owned by them and hasn't been sold, or it has been sold and no development has happened here. Either way, the place is completely overgrown. It was a way of me getting nice forest detailing in. I love the way that whole space looks, and I want to have more spaces like that around the region as a whole. And then over here, we're going to now connect up our bike path. Finally, this bike path that I've been using is very glitchy. Like when I boot out of the game and back in, all the points where there are nodes sinks all the way down to the bottom, and then I have to raise it again. So I have tried everything. I have tried deleting the path and recreating it. I have tried moving it a little further away from the roads. It just continues, and it doesn't happen everywhere. It's in very specific places. So if anybody knows why that happens, please let me know in the comments, because I really want to stick to that path. But if it continues with that issue, I'm going to actually change it and go back to the vanilla bike path that we have. But on the side, we will finally complete the university. Yes, it wasn't complete in the last video. Like I mentioned earlier, I wanted this land to belong to the university. So we've got another extension to the university that's completed there to the right of the avenue that comes in, and then to the left of the avenue, and then to the right where I'm currently working on, we have a place that is currently under construction. It's something that I had wanted to do right from the beginning, to show that although the university might be old, it is not completely forgotten about. So they are still doing work, they're still expanding the university, adding more buildings, perhaps adding more faculties, whatever the case may be. But construction is happening, and we have an area that is uprising, or that is still coming up. And the idea is that this entire piece of land will ultimately get developed, so the university will continue to expand in time. We are obviously not going to cover that, but that is the story of the town, and that is basically what I'm trying to capture in this build. And then all we do now is complete the entire area with detailing. I'm gonna leave this entire area now sort of empty and bushy, but at least areas that have been developed, wanted to make it look just a little bit, nice-ish, but at the same time continue with the sort of run-down-ish look that has, or is claiming, Nomasburg as a whole. But this building that I put up there, that you see all these containers around, that's actually a fire station. So it was a nice way of blending in that building with the surrounding, because I didn't really have a fire station in this area. Well, I actually put one down further. Wait, where did I put it? I put it near the residential areas. But I like the way this building looked, so I thought I would stick it in here so that I have more fire coverage in the entire area, so that we have a building that is slightly closer to the further out buildings of the university. And I think overall it blended in nicely. It made it look like it's actually a construction building. And yeah, I thought it was a nice way of blending in city services with just the overall look of the entire place. And then lastly, we finally have the bike path connected, and we'll just put some not so wow, but just slightly funky detailing around here. And yeah, that basically makes up this entire episode. The rest is just us putting down detailing and the forestry and all the other stuff that we need to put down to just make the entire place come together. So that is it, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Next up will be the tram ride. Then we'll be jumping into City of Tando. So look forward to that. Thank you all so much. Again, if you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment on what you enjoyed, what you would like to see. And as always, a big thanks to all my patrons that continue to support. I really, really appreciate it. Everybody who watches the video, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Until the next one, hope you keep safe, take care, and I guess I will catch you all in the next one. Cheers, everybody. Hey, I just thought I'd take a moment to just say a big thanks to my patrons, Jackie Perez, Log Yang, Patrick Callahan, Sang Minam, and Konstantinos Alipakis.